what's your nerding out about, sir?
I am nerding out about spending time with the family.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
Recently, me and the older boys, we binged through Solo Leveling. That was a lot of fun. Um, I did, I did, however, skip about a minute and a half or 2 minutes of the second episode. So for those who have not watched Solo Leveling, the end of the second episode has a very brutal scene, and I felt like that would be a bit too much for my boys. So I did skip just that couple of minutes, and I explained to them verbally what happened, the main talking points of what went down during that. And they did see like some stills here and there when there's flashbacks, but they didn't experience the entire grotesquity that there was. There was an egregious amount of blood and violence in those couple of minutes.
I
And
believe there was a high level of honor and sacrifice in this episode. But
um
I get you, man. My dad did that for me for like stuff like Predator and whatnot,
okay.
So I got you.
You've been doing this kick of putting different music to different various
Yeah.
things, and it made me think of the I've seen a couple of different cuts of people taking the Predator and introducing to each characters as if it's an 80s
Oh,
sitcom with
yes. I've seen that
music.
one.
Oh man. But yeah, so spending time watching that, sharing anime. Like my boys have been binging a bunch of different anime lately. Um, but outside of that, this past weekend, part of the reason why I was gone was because I went camping with the church group. And so me and the older two boys, we spent a couple of nights out camping. And part of that is I bring the big external battery. I showed it on air a few weeks back or a month back, but I've got that big Anchor power bank, and I bring that to power my CPAP. But this is the first time where I've gone and brought that, and it's been a 2-day thing. And so we, when we bought it, we actually bought an adapter that is a solar array that can help charge it up. And so it was my first time using the solar array, and it actually did pretty good. The full run through asks if we watched Veggie Tales at the church camp. Nope, sure didn't. I did tune in to the
No?
live stream for a little bit though.
Yeah, as I said, no, but he did show up on the live stream a little bit. Oh, dude. So a little side note. Sorry, according you with that, you showed up. We were playing this little game of who's Joe, and Josh just leaned into that bit so much that even after the Patreon, we had shut off the recording, so we wanted to talk some personal stuff. He was still doing the bit when I said your name, like who, and then he goes, "Wait, we're not even recording. Why am I still doing the bit?" Yeah. So you did tune in. But man, was it
No man.
so you had an adapter? So did it work? And the battery, the charger, whatever lasted.
Yeah, so after that first night, the power station was down to 48%. So it might have scooted by, but I plugged it in and got it to I set it up at the optimal angle at the time because there's a little sensor that shows you the optimal angle for charging. But then we left the campground and did a hike. And so, but I left it there. And ideally, I would assume you would want to adjust it as the sun moves through the air. But I left it there for a few hours. And when we got back we took this hike up to a waterfall. The kids got in the water that was freezing and had a lot of fun with that. And when we got back, it was at 75%. And so it worked pretty good. So it only took a few hours to get to 75% off of solar power. That's pretty nice. And I found out that the solar array, it has other outputs than just the cord for charging the power bank that I bought it with. It also has a USB A and a USB C port. So if I wanted to, I could just charge a phone or some other device off of it as well. So yeah,
Nice.
so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, so I had tuned into the show, but I had to leave when the Dutch oven cobbler was ready. Cobbler took priority. I'm sorry, it was good.
So I think I know what you mean, but every time I hear Dutch oven, like, why did you put cobbler in a sleeping bag and fart on it?
A Dutch oven is a cast iron pot that's meant for putting charcoal and stuff around it and cooking that way. And so the cobbler, you put all the cobbler stuff in the Dutch oven, and then you put charcoal underneath and on top of it, and you let it cook for 25-30 minutes
Right.
until the cobbler's ready.
And young husbands, when you're first married, you get all cute with your wife and you pull the blanket up over her head and then you fart on her and you hold the blanket down. That's also a Dutch oven. Thank you very much. Why is it is always peach. Why can't it be apple cobbler? It is always
So
peach. Like in my
we
experience.
actually made two. One of them was peach.
Okay.
The other one was apple. It was apple cinnamon. It was really good.
And how dare you pass homemade apple cinnamon cobbler for peach?
You were just complaining about why is it always peach, and then you're complaining that I didn't eat the peach or that I had the apple.
No, I'm complaining that you didn't eat the apple. You said you left for the peach.
No, I left for the apple
Dutch
cobbler.
oven.
I ate the apple.
You said peach.
So they made peach and apple. I ate the apple.
Hey, full run, random kid, roll the tape back. I had to get off the show for the Dutch oven peach cobbler. See, it was on the tape. Anyway, so okay, nobody cares about your experience. We want to know your boys' experience and your experience with them making memories.
Oh man, so we had a lot of fun. We played a lot of verbal games around the campfire, like we played Mafia and stuff like that around the campfire, and then the hike was a whole bunch of fun. Like I said, they went swimming at the waterfall. They kept challenging each other to go under the waterfall, and I took a whole bunch of pictures with that. Actually, speaking of pictures, my iPhone, the new one, has a night mode on it.
Yeah,
and so
it does.
I didn't realize that the flash was off and it defaulted to night mode. And I took a couple of pictures with that. And I was like, and then my boys were like, did you take a picture? There was no flash. I was like, oh. So I turned on the flash and I took pictures with the flash, and I'm like, huh, the ones without the flash look more natural. And so that
it looked way better.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, taking pictures at night with that on. And so yeah, we had a lot of fun. The second night, some of the adults put Bob up to taking some of the leftover hot dogs, because we had just roasted hot dogs over campfire like you do, taking that and putting it at the edges of specific people's tents so that animals would come and bother them in the middle of the night.
And Bob did not hesitate.
Bob was all about that. The next day we heard about animals getting into people's candy and stuff like that, because they had come, I assume, because of the hot dogs, and then found more than what they originally had shown up for. But yeah, there was one evening where we were trying to let the youth, anyone anywhere from 11 to 18 is the youth for this church group. And so we were letting the youth try to start the fire, and they had some coals from the morning, so it wasn't completely dead. Like if you threw some leaves in there, they'd spark up. So it wasn't like they were starting it from nothing. And so one of the boys, I think he's 16 or 17, was trying to get a fire going, and he was trying, and he kept trying, and I look at him like, you do realize that the wood you're using is wet? And he turns to me, oh no, I only took the dry pieces. I'm like, okay. So this is wood.
Does he seriously think wet means like wet?
Apparently,
like to the touch wet? Okay.
But
I mean, until you learn, you don't know that's not exactly what that means.
Well, because the previous day, one of the other boys had pulled a dead tree that was rotting and pulled it over to use for campfire, and it, like, when you got into the inside, it was all mush basically. And so that's what they were trying to use to start a fire. Now, using it to put onto the fire after it's already going, because then the fire itself can dry it out, and then
dry it out, right,
to get to the point where it'll light. But starting a fire with it, no, that ain't gonna work. And so I sat there, because we were trying to let them be independent. And so I sat there and I watched him and I watched him and I watched him. And after about an hour, he finally gave up. He's like, nope, I can't do it. And so I went after that. I went into the woods and grabbed a whole bunch of stuff that was dry, brought it over, and we got a fire go. Like the adults got a fire going within 15, 20 minutes.
Did any, and it's fine if you didn't, it's not everybody's job to educate every kid, but did anybody take time afterwards to say, it's not just wet to the touch, but if you go and pull down a fresh tree branch and it bends, that's wet because trees and living things have water inside of them. So you really need to be that snap so you know it's dry wood. Did anybody try to help educate him on that?
I don't know, actually. We really ought to.
I don't know if I would have either. I'm just asking.
But yeah, no, I mean, we did tell him that he was using, like I told him, he was using wet wood and that it wasn't going to catch. That he need, and I also, while he was in the middle of making it, I kept telling him because he was trying to. The wet wood was big, like it was large pieces. I'm like, and I kept telling him like, you've got to find smaller stuff that'll get the fire starting before you move on to the bigger stuff. And so he wasn't having it. He wasn't listening, and you know,
Yeah.
that. But we let him keep trying, keep going, and he never said we were cheating, but I also, because he kept trying to use like a paper plate to waft air into it to get airflow, whereas I went over to my tent and grabbed one of the battery powered pumps that we used for the air mattresses, and I used that to just blow air all over it. It lit up real good, and I brought over a whole bunch of smaller stuff. I put the, you know what you do, you put the small stuff down, and then you get the little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and you build, you know, your little teepee mound area. Make sure you got plenty of flow, and then you put the bigger stuff in. And so yeah, we ended up doing that. And actually that same night, some other families came with some of their younger men. So we started off as just the young men, 11 to 18, and then some families came the second night with their younger kids. And one of the guys came and he was making tinfoil dinners, and he put it in there, but he kind of put it off to the side. And I was sitting there like, that's kind of weird, but I mean, I guess maybe he knows what he's doing, especially because he left it in there for like 40 minutes. And I'm just like, okay. And so I'm like, when is yours going to be done? Because we were waiting on everyone to finish cooking before we added more fire to it for s'mores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so he pulls it out after 40 minutes of being there.
It's raw.
He's like, it's still raw. And we're like, have you cooked tinfoil dinners before? He's like, no, this is my first time. Like, oh.
Well, y'all have to help him. Lay some hands on him. Pray for the man and then teach him. Put it in the hot fire.
And that's what we did. We put it back in the fire. We're like, look, you got to put coals on top of it, and preferably beneath it as well to get heat on it. And we asked him like, well, did you double wrap it with your tinfoil? He was like, some of it. He's like, oh, because you're supposed to double wrap it so that if it rips a little bit, you're not losing all your food.
Nash. Yeah.
And so he's like, I think some of it's double wrapped. We're like, okay, well, we'll just have to be extra careful with how we go about this. It should be all right. And so we put it in there. We put coals in there. We're like, okay, you said it was raw. Give it, 10, 15 minutes because it's been in there. It's not like completely cold because it'd been in there for 40 minutes already. And so he left it there for 15 minutes. He pulled it out and bam. He was like, that was amazing. Tasted so
Bob's
good.
Your
like,
uncle.
Awesome. And then to show everybody up, the last person to cook walks over, sets up a few sticks to hold a cast iron skillet on it. And he drops a lob of butter in there and just throws 2 steaks in there and just starts cooking steak on the fire.
It's like, dude, we got plans, man. We don't need all that mess.
No,
had an hour to do that.
No, he waited for everyone else to be done, and then he took care of it and whatnot. But yeah, it was just a ton of fun, a lot of fun, just spending time with everybody. And during the second day is when we got news of Chuck Norris passing, and so that night everyone was going around telling different Chuck Norris jokes,
Oh yeah.
and whatnot. And so it was fun. So, but yeah, let's see. Full run through says, speaking of church, we used to have a pastor who would get super into a sermon and would end a segment with, "If that don't light your fire, your wood's wet."